What's up, everybody? It is Carlos Alberto Ojeda de Jesus Jr., aka Chu, and this is very special. I am super excited. Today's a special day because we at CoolSpeak are launching a brand new book, and I get the privilege to interview the author of said book. All right, here live in the fresh, all the way from Dallas, Texas, is one Joaquín Zihuatanejo, former poet laureate of Dallas, Texas, world spoken word champion, and award-winning teacher, here to talk about and have a little conversation about his brand new book, Stand Up and Be Heard. Joaquín, thank you for coming on. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you, brother.
Chu, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me, brother. As always, it's just a joy to be in your presence.
Look, let's just jump right in. I appreciate everything, but I want to get to the juicy parts, man. I want to get to this book. I've worked with you on developing it, and I'm super excited to share it. But I want to ask you, Joaquín, you've been all over the country. You've been internationally. You've been all over this country speaking with students and sharing your stories and teaching them how to write their essays in real time, impacting students all across the country. What made you say, it's time now? It's time now to take what I've been doing on the stage, doing in the classroom with the student, and putting it into a book?
I think without question, the moment of ideal, the moment of spark happened about 2 years back when I was in the Roaring Fork Valley in Colorado working with middle school students. A woman at the end of the day ran across the parking lot. Mr. Joaquín, are you Joaquín? I said, yeah. And she said, I just had to tell you, I just picked up my son and he was glowing. His name is Max. And he said he had the best day ever because this poetry slam champion came to his school and talked to him about poetry. And he felt like for the first time he had a chance to shine. And for the first time, he felt like it wasn't a chore to be at school. He was excited to be at school, and he had the most fun ever just by writing poetry with you today. And I just had to thank you for giving my son, who's had some problems with being picked on because he's kind of small, for giving him a great day at school. And you made him feel like a star. So thank you so much. And she just walked out of my lap after giving me all that light and shine and glory. And that night, I sort of came up like, I've got to do something for Max. I've got to do something for all the kids out there that aren't as athletic as others are, or aren't as great on a stage as others are, or aren't as great with a tuba as others are, and give them a platform, a stage to stand on, and a chance to shine. And Stand Up and Be Heard was kind of born in that parking lot after that conversation with that mother.
Some of the greatest ideas come from humble beginnings, brother, and from like really unique origin stories, and that's an awesome one. It's one for the books. Now, you have said that students don't really struggle with creativity. They struggle with where and how to start, right? What have you been seeing across the country as you've traveled that led you to that belief?
Well, I think without question, the poem's in them already. It's just that blank computer screen or that blank page can be so intimidating for a 6th grade student or a 10th grade student or even a 12th grade student. And what I think Stand Up and Be Heard does is it comes into their world, it comes into their life, and it meets them where they are, and it gives them a springboard, something to jump off of into the poem. The prompts are there. The story behind the poem is there. There are poems in there as well to inspire them, but basically there's just so much in this book to spark a young poet's imagination.
And in the previous books that we worked on, we've kind of pushed the envelope from printing upside down and putting Facebook pages within the books. What was important to you to include student reading this? What was important for you to bring to this book for them?
I think more than anything, I originally conceived this book as a book that would be composed by 2 authors. I would write half the book, and the young poet who found it in their hands would write the other half, which is why initially I knew there had to be line pages in this book, because I wanted this to be more than just a collection of poems. I wanted this to be interactive. I wanted that young student, whoever they might be, to have a chance to grab their pen, press it to the page inside the book, and write a first draft of a poem inside that book beside mine. And believe me, I don't think they should be like honored to have a poem beside mine. I'm honored to have my poem beside theirs.
And I will tell you, Joaquin, this is the first time in CoolSpeak publishing history that we are publishing an incomplete book. If you really think about this book is unfinished because the students get to finish it, and that's really cool. So it literally said that about a week ago. This is the first time we're publishing an unfinished book. Now, the thing that I found really amazing was that this wasn't just poems that you included. You included the stories behind the poems. How important was it for you to include that, and what was the motivation for that?
I think what I was hoping to do with those stories, parables behind the poem, was make every young poet, every poet on the planet realize that poetry isn't this distant thing that's far reach from us in some master's program waiting for us down the line. Poetry is an every day of our lives. And if we just open our eyes to the world around us, the poems will find us. I tell young people all over the country that one of my favorite poets, Claribel Alegria, when she was with us, she never used the word journal. She always used the word seed book, because you could write something into it, might grow into a poem. And I love that concept. I'm hoping that this will be, in a way, a seed book for young poets all over the country.
Now, that sounds amazing, but you've got a challenge. You've got a barrier, because when students hear the word poetry, they'll check out. They'll run away. They're usually scared. Their perception of what a poem is, it's so antiquated half the time, and it's kind of filled in stereotypes. How to stand up and be heard, break that barrier? How do you shift the paradigm to something different?
Well, the old saying is, like, this is not your grandma's book of poetry, but my abuela Juanita, she was a very cool person. So this might be my grandma's book of poetry. But I just want to say that I wanted the poem to be able to come to life. I wanted to put poems specifically in this book that were meant to be read aloud, because poetry started as an oral tradition. And I want us to go back to those roots. And I'm thinking that the prompts and the poems and the stories that appear in this collection, they're going to inspire young people to create those kinds of pieces, in a way, spoken word pieces that were meant to be written first and then read and brought to life with your voice and your face and your tone. And I can't wait for this book to go out in the world to hopefully inspire new poets, and even some not so new poets, some older poets as well.
I think it's important that we address the other people that might be watching this, which are the educators, the teachers. Can you share for a moment, for the educators that are listening, what changes when a student starts to find their voice through writing? What can they expect to see in the way the student approaches the world, and how they tend to move after they start putting pen to paper and find that voice when they write? What can educators expect to see?
Well, for 6 years, I ran a nonprofit organization in Dallas called Dallas Youth Poets. And originally it was called East Dallas Youth Poets, because I just wanted to give back to the neighborhood that I grew up in. But people from all over the city found out about my program, and kids, teachers from Oak Cliff said, "Can we send our kids to you?" And teachers from South Dallas said, "Can we send our kids to you?" And I just kept saying yes and yes and yes, because I'm not going to turn a kid away from my writing program ever. And seeing these kids move through these workshops that I designed, many times with activities based off my poems and prompts derived from my poems, seeing them grow in confidence, seeing them grow in their ability to command their space. I knew, whether they were 14, whether they were 12, whether they were 16, I knew I was absolutely watching something blossom in front of me. And I think poetry, when you start with the pen and the page, the mind sharpens. But when you go to the stage, then the breath and the voice and the shoulders and the confidence, then all that sharpens. And nothing but good can come from that. I've been able to take stand-up, and we heard a program very similar to this all over the country, where I teach poetry slams to young people, how to write a poem and then compete in a poetry slam. And yeah, we do talk a lot about the written portion of the poem, but a big part of that program is about stance and voice and confidence. And these are things that are key to success. I think every young person who gets strong at writing, but every young person who gets strong at commanding their space, they've got their path laid out before them, and they're going to succeed because they've got the tools. And I'm hoping that in a way, Stand Up and Be Heard is going to give them some really great tools for success.
So at the end of the day, all that being said, this book is more than just writing, right? So what do you hope the students walk away believing about themselves and their potential after utilizing reading and writing in this book?
I think we live in a world today where it's very easy to be overwhelmed by darkness and to be overwhelmed by bad news. And I wanted to go out of my way to create something that was going to be sort of a light in the storm, something that a young person could hold in their hands and be inspired by and be moved by, and maybe even be moved to laughter and to a smile. I wanted to create something that was going to challenge them to put pen to page, to leave an impression on things maybe they weren't intending to impress, but at the same time, something that brought them real joy. Because like I said, we have a lot of darkness in this world, and I think we could use more light and more joy. And I'm hoping that Stand Up and Be Heard, that it's going to create these little moments of joy that are these poems. They're going to spread all over the country like ripples and just grow and grow and grow, because nothing but good can come from light, and nothing but good can come from poetry. And I'm hoping that this book is the beginning of a beautiful, large ripple of joy.
Oh, so am I, brother. So am I. A labor of love this has been. Is there a poem? Is there a poem that you're like, ooh, I can't, because I know you're going to say all of them, right? But is there a section or a poem you're like, I can't wait till the scholar gets to this point, because when they get to this point, it's going to be awesome. Is there one that just sticks out of your mind?
It's funny. I will say that, there's a couple of essays in the book as well. Parables or stories behind the poems, parables or stories behind my life as a poet. And I just wanted, like, there's a moment in here that I was just reading to myself, and I just want to share it real quick. It's I used to tell people often, my first job as a teacher is to keep my young scholars safe when in my care. My second job is to teach them about subordinate conjunctions and the crucible. I think that holds true for me today as a poet. So be safe, have fun, take care of yourself, drink lots of water, dream big, take a break from poetry when you need to. And remember, if you can't tell your mama about it, don't do it. And that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to about this book, is there are moments in here that are not just moments of poetry, but just bits of advice on life and how to live life well, and how to enjoy life, and how to love life, and how to love yourself. I want young people to know that poetry has brought me closer to myself, and I'm hoping that it does that for them as well.
Yeah. When we start giving those warnings, Joaquin, it's because we've gotten old, and like we're not the wild child that we were back in the day. So,
exactly.
I got something exciting to talk about. We're hosting a live event. All right? We're hosting a book release party, a live virtual event where people can experience all of this in real time.
Absolutely.
What can the people that are signing up for this, that have already signed up, we've got a lot of people signed up, so if you're interested, get in where you fit in. What can they expect from this live book release party?
I think what they can expect is a reading from the new book, sharing some poems that I've never shared before. I think they can expect a discussion about what the book is and how it can be a tool both for students and for teachers. And ultimately, I think they're going to have a chance to have a Q&A with the person behind the book, myself. And I'm so looking forward to receiving those questions and giving as many answers as I can. Just basically think it's going to be a party where we celebrate words and poetry and this new book that is Stand Up and Be Heard.
Yeah, and there's going to be some prizes. We got giveaways. People are going to be able to walk away with some cool stuff. But you got to get in where you fit in. So make sure you register for the live event. It's about 2 weeks away. It's going to be an amazing experience. Joaquin, this has been amazing. Thank you for taking time to share. I'm super excited about the book. I think the kids are going to love it. I think the adults are going to love it. It's going to be spectacular. If there's one thing that you could tell young people right now that are struggling to find their voice, that maybe have scribbled a couple things on the edge of a homework assignment, and just didn't have the courage to call it what it was, a poem, or the beginning of a poem, the beginning of them finding their voice? If there was something you could tell them right here, right now, what would it be?
There's some chalkboard pages in the book that look like they were created by AI, but they were not. They were my editor, Eastcase. That was her, the artist that she is, drawing on a chalkboard some of my words and taking photos of them. And there's one chalkboard page that I hope every young person who finds this book in their hands, I hope they tear it out and tape it on their mirror or tack it in their locker or place it somewhere where they can see it every day, because it's the rules that I live by as a poet, and it's the rules that I live by as a human. And it's just simply 4 things. It's just be kind and work hard and dream big and give back. If we can do those, we get to lead lives of poetry. We get to lead the life of a poet. And I think that they will. I know that they will.
We'll leave it there, brother. Can't ask for a better ending to this interview. Thank you very much. Thank you for this book. Thank you for all the work you've done, and I will see you in a couple of weeks at the live virtual event. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great day, Chu.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.